Okay, this is just getting out of hand with the theories, explanations, with the DLC ruined in Fnaf and the Mimic. So, let me try to explain. So, the Mimic was built in the 1980s by Edwin Murray. It was built for his 4-year-old son because Edwin couldn't be the father that... Okay. Edwin was struggling to be around his son, and after the death of his wife ended up dying while giving birth to David. Edwin built the Mimic to mimic the behavior of Edwin to interact with his son. And even though it goes quite well, one day David dies while trying to retrieve his ball. Edwin, due to the grief and loss of his son and his wife, he takes out his frustration on the Mimic, causing the Mimic to severe pain and snap and change his and twist Mimic's mind into mimicking violent and agonizing behavior, killing anyone to, well, killing anyone to, well, when he is violent and agonizing, he pretty much would just kill anyone. It's unknown if William Afton might have known about this because, well, I'm not sure. The Mimic endoskeleton, Mimic 1, was moved to the building of the Pizzaplex while it was being constructed, and it was taken to the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place, which was the place the Pizzaplex was being built over. And fun fact, the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place was originally going to be built as a museum. The museum was also connected to a warehouse which had like costumes, had like mascot costumes. The Mimic ended up killing the construction workers, except for one who ended up sealing the Mimic with concrete. William Afton died in Fnaf 6, and his spirit ended up being in hell. William ended up escaping hell into a digital avatar known as GlitchTrap in the Fnaf virtual reality game. However, the Mimic would also be GlitchTrap due to the agonizing code that the Mimic also invalidates. William was also the agony to happen to Five Nights at Freddy's. And it seems that William found a this is a lot to take in, so
Edwin actually created the Mimic 1 program, its endoskeleton, and also that he's experienced this before, stating how, quote, it's happening again in the Pizzaplex and causing the animatronics to get aggressive. Familiar to you? That would be because this virus is the GlitchTrap virus, and Mimic 1 is the in-universe code's name. The why these fantasy has
Manny due to them being infected by it. However, this actually isn't the first time in the franchise that William has done something like this. In the novel The Twisted Ones, the ring trap works in a similar way. Whenever the virus infects something or someone, it connects them to a system, so to speak, ultimately controlled by William. For the humans infected is probably, but the influence and drive to follow those directions is still ultimately there.
But anyways, back to the mimic, and this isn't the first time this mimic has appeared, by the way. Much like the stitch wraith stingers in the Fazbear Frights books, these books also have their own stingers that are all about this mimic endoskeleton, which seems to be telling us the burn trap endoskeleton's origins. Like Tom says in his theory, it's interesting it to generate its own stories and outcomes, just like an AI problem, except it fits with its name. Mimic 1 program was actually Edwin's attempt at making the first artificial intelligence with adaptive learning. However, instead of coding it entirely, like in The Storyteller, he could instead have a robot that would observe humans, actually hinted at in the games themselves with these murals in the Endo warehouse that show us commands for the Endos to observe and mimic for right and wrong decisions. And we actually see this.
So basically, the mimic was supposed to, mimic human behavior and act like, the animatronics, I have a feeling they mimic certain qualities of humans, especially with the animatronics mimicking performance of a band, because, the animatronics are sometimes part of a band, so it would make sense.
An action. Although, interestingly enough, this time with the staff bots, in this very spot, with the bot clearly trying to mimic the mural in front of it. And Tom also realized that Edwin's story is repeating a similar theme that we've already seen before in Fnaf. A father failing and grief causing something awful to result from it. Edwin lost his wife during the birth of his son, and then in his grief he struggled to be a good father while building machines, which ultimately led to consequences involving the mimic. We saw this with Henry in the book trilogy, Dr. Talbot in the Frights epilogues, and now we're possibly seeing it with Edwin in the Tales series.
Yeah, apparently it's a running theme with these books that are separate in the Silver Trilogy, Henry, Emily, and William Afton. The Fazbear's Frights book, some doctor, and Tales from the Pizzaplex, Edwin Murray.
Edwin poured his grief and anger into the Mimic 1 program.
Due to the loss of his son.
He began to learn from his anger and mimicked it, which led to it becoming lethal. It then went rogue and
killing anyone who he agonizes pain on.
Killed many more, in the process becoming powered by more and more agony. Perhaps at one point the program was seized by Fazbear Entertainment and then repurposed as an AI generation software. And because it was given information of the past, the myths, rumors, tragedies, and more of Fazbear Entertainment's past, the program then took hold of its information, and the agony then formed a manifestation of what it perfectly resembled: William Afton. Mimic 1 had injected code into the VR game that allowed itself to take a digital avatar, GlitchTrap. It's a mimic of Afton. This would have allowed Afton to manifest back as Mimic 1 due to the amount of agony powering the program. This is what Afton truly meant in Fazbear Frights by claiming, "I am agony." That might have been his declaration that his spirit would die, but he would be reborn. Not as William Afton, but rather he would live on metaphorically as agony, connected to Freddy's. Thus, people's pain caused by the mimic allowed a machine to piece him back together as a mimic of what he once was. We also read in the Fnaf AR special delivery, Afton, but rather he would live on metaphorically as agony, connected to Freddy's. Thus, people's pain caused by the mimic allowed a machine to piece him back together as a mimic of...
Yeah, but I'm guessing... Okay, so William might have found something to resurrect himself by using the mimic. But the mimic was due to the agony and violence. Mimicked it, especially with the Freddy Fazbear stories and agony surrounding it, with William Afton. The mimic ended up ejecting its own code, or turned into an AI software to a circuit board for Fnaf VR, which also hosted William Afton Soul/Remnant. William Afton found a way to resurrect himself, to be reborn into the agony that he once was. But then again, his skeletal remains still elude in GlitchTrap. Then again, he's reborn as sort of a mimic of himself. I don't know how to say this. But basically, GlitchTrap is both the mimic and William Afton, but mostly the mimic. The mimic mimics William Afton's behavior and influence, even due to the Spring Bonnie costume, becoming a recreation of William Afton with, well, the digital avatar of William, GlitchTrap. It might be a little confusing, but now that I'm thinking about it, how the hell would William Afton be able to become a digital avatar within Fnaf VR? It would be a little impossible, but at the same time, William's a crafty man, and maybe he found a loophole within the mimic. It's possible. The endoskeletons even try to mimic human behavior, or try to do the right and wrong. Thing, or mimic what is the right or wrong thing to do. And the mimic influenced the endoskeletons for the Claremont animatronics. However, they ended up failing, and the mimic, especially with his violent behavior and killing construction workers, managed to find his way locked in a prison, locked via concrete by a certain someone, not Vanessa or Gregory. And as for the endings of the original security breach, and with the continuity error of Gregory's backpack and walkie-talkie, I can certainly say that it's supposed to be some sort of retcon. So with all the Fnaf security breach endings, Gregory and Claremont Freddy managed to escape and free Vanessa from her Vanny persona. GlitchTrap is later consumed by the blob and then killed, and the blob just survives and just doesn't do anything that much. He just sticks around. With William Afton no longer being involved in Fnaf anymore, at least I'm not sure, he's basically forgotten within the characters. He's never mentioned, he's never talked about. Basically, he's forgotten now. And the mimic basically reborn William Afton into GlitchTrap, even though his skeletal remains still remained in GlitchTrap. Well, of course, because GlitchTrap literally was literally still, well, William Afton's remains were still trapped in the Fazbear's, in the Freddy Fazbear's Pizzaplex, which was FNAF 6 being built under the Pizzaplex. So, yeah. It's still a little confusing to me, but it might make sense later. So, the Mimic was built in the 1980s by Edwin Murray. His son got killed. Edwin took out his anger on the Mimic. The Mimic ended up becoming violent and agonizing, mimicking violent behavior, killing anyone who he agonizes pain on. He was brought to the Pizzaplex, which the Freddy Fazbear's Pizzaplex, which was originally going to be built to a museum, which was also built near a warehouse. the mimic got locked in a room via concrete by another construction worker. The mimic still killed people